I hope everybody had a good week. I finally dried off, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, check out my first video. And this is actually the first turning video that I'm doing. And this piece of wood I've had forever, and this lathe I've had forever, like 20 plus years. I got out of it after about 2 years of working with the lathe. Just one of those things that family kind of came first, and I didn't have time to play. Let me tell you a little bit about this piece of wood. It is about 20 some odd years old in the drying process, and it is spalted oak. And I want to let you know that according to Google, and I really couldn't find out who actually said this, but whoever wrote the myth that spalted is dangerous or something like that is not true. Actually, the mold spores that create the looks are not dangerous to work with for woodworkers, or studies have also shown that spalted wood is actually no more dangerous than any other wood that you work with, and those that have wood in their homes, it doesn't have any effect. Well, I do want to talk about what I'm doing. I'm using Starbond um, and trying to fill in kind of a knot that was trying to come out, and I'm putting the medium black uh, CA glue in it and using the accelerator to get it to dry quick. There's a couple other wormholes, a couple other places that I had started cleaning up, and I've already done that prior to this new camera that I'm using. My old camera broke, and that's why I lost well, it just kept giving files that were corrupt. And so anyway, to make a long story short, I bought a new camera, and I'll provide the link below. And it seems to be working good so far. Harbor Freight lathe that was made a long time ago. They actually made some really good refining parts about it, but at the same time, um, I made do with what I got. And this, like I said, this is over 20 years old. Same thing with the wood. The wood was cut down probably 23 years ago, and I basically just cut it to length and that I needed a bowl blank, and then basically put wax on the exposed area to help it dry slow. I don't recommend 20 years, but the cool thing is it is really dry. Put on another glove because I didn't want to get it on my right hand, and then get it on my chisels or any other tools. So anyway, make a long story short, um, I'm just getting started here. And I mentioned the lathe because the lathe is going to be disappearing in a few minutes because I have problems with it. So after replacing everything, I'm sure I won't have these problems again, or I hope not anyway. And I'm just putting the thin CA glue on. This is from Starbond also, and I'm putting it on, um, just trying to get these areas that the fibers are just being pulled out as opposed to cutting or sanding. I did sand it up to this point, but I just couldn't work with this area and the accelerator going on for it. The same accelerator works for both. Well, the lathe was making noises for quite some time, and the bearings finally went out. I couldn't find anywhere to get them, so this is my new Harbor Freight. But I showed that picture like that because that was the only picture that I had the camera in the correct position. Later, after I turned out a bunch from the center, or the inside, I actually positioned the camera different. And that's another reason I'm just showing this picture right here. It's just, yes, it's a current Harbor Freight, and that's it's really a whole lot better than what I had. People talk bad about Harbor Freight, and but it's really a great lathe for nowadays for someone to get started with. The one that I had, it was really hard. Every time you moved the tailstock, you had to align it. You had to work with it real careful. And so this one having the quill that moves, and just there's so many different things that is a lot better than what I had before. So I'm actually glad that I got this. Okay, so now I have a new lathe, a new camera, which is in the wrong position, and I have a new I have a new bowl gouge that I am still trying to get a handle on it. Since then, I've just taken a piece of wood and just worked with it, and I should have just set this aside and did that. So I'm slowly figuring it out. I did watch some videos, and I consider that cheating. It's kind of like getting the instructions out for a guy. But I did watch some videos of people saying, turn it like this, use the bevel to push on, and so within really a couple of days after this, I think I have a much better handle. I did make this the walls of the bowl real thin. I did it because I kind of could, and I did it because I had something that was really cutting well, and so anyway, just want to warn you so when you start seeing me cutting, you understand why I seem to be a little bit uneasy with it. By the way, I'll leave a link for this Hurricane 5/8 bowl gouge with an Irish grind. It's the Irish grind that I'm trying to get used to, and it really doesn't take long. You just you just gotta either figure it out, or which it may be a lot easier just to watch something up front and get a good feel. Well, as you can see, I got it out, and um, I got the little calipers that I could get a better feel of how thick it is in between. And I'm still trying to figure out the way this whole lathe works, and so it will take me a while before I look like I know what the heck I'm doing. So bear with me, and I keep checking everything because the other one just constantly got loose. And oh, good, I found out how to speed things up. But anyway, it's really a good tool. And I was thinking about getting an axe out and chopping that down, but I didn't. Well, my new face shield didn't come in, and obviously you saw my head right there. It came in a couple of days later. if you'll notice, the lathe is sitting on the table that I had prior. Um, I've now got the legs that came with it, and it's sitting on the legs. It's a lot easier to keep up with the dust and let it fall, which you'll see that on the next video. So far, it's really been good. I've enjoyed it. I love the fact that I do have a little bit of a variable speed without having to change belts and all that kind of stuff. The denatured alcohol is really good for cleaning and picking up dust and lint and stuff like that. And the blue rags stay together pretty good. I'll leave a link for the denatured in case y'all don't know where to get that. Just cleaning out, going through the grit, going to 400, uh, and doing the same thing I did on the outside. I have no idea what I'm doing right now. I just seem to be walking around in circles waiting on something to happen or something. Oh, okay, maybe I do know what I'm doing. That was pretty easy looking. No, apparently I missed some footage somewhere, and I don't know. I have no idea. I did actually work on. I wasn't really happy with the way it turned out, and I did work on the inside a bit more, um, and I think I have recording of that. Well, I actually don't have any recording of it, but I do have some still shots at the very end, and I appreciate y'all. If you're still with me, wake up. It's almost over. Unfortunately, it's only going to be about 12, 13 minutes, something like that. Well, when you think about it, this bowl was the first bowl I did in over 22, 3 years, and I think it's good for the first bowl. I think the second needs to be twice as good. Well, we're at the end, and the bowl turned out okay. 20 years, I mean, shoot, you know. The good news is I got a wood turning video on YouTube. For a lot of y'all, you do it all the time. For me, this is my first. Just remember, God is good.